I can break an apple in half with my bare hands.
David's team.
What is your technique?
I take it in the hands.
Yes. Are your hands bare at this point?
Of course they're bare.
Yes.
Friction's very much part of this this equation. You must pull it, I'm going to say east to west. A lot of people think you need to twist. You don't need to twist.
You don't need to twist.
Really?
You just
don't need to
pull
twist.
apart.
Pull it apart.
How do you get the
Pull the
grip?
apple apart.
Won't your hands just slide away from it? I'd have thought you'd need to twist.
If you twist, you fail. Twisting equals tears.
So you just grip the apple in your hands and then fling them apart, and you have two half apples.
No, I rip it apart.
Yeah.
The way you were miming it then, there's like downward pressure from the thumbs, almost as if you're trying to open it like a book.
Yeah.
Is that what it's like? Because I can believe that more than the just grip, bang!
Yes. No, David, that's fair enough. Yes, it's...
So you're almost like, you insert...
Oh, but I so wish it was bang. It's not.
No, you're inserting the thumbs to try and pull it apart that way.
No insertion.
All right.
No,
but
that's
downward
the grip.
pressure.
Downward pressure, and there it is.
So where are the thumbs? Are the thumbs either side of the stalk?
You know where the thumbs are, David.
Where are the thumbs either side of the stalk?
Yes.
No insertion or penetration?
No, absolutely not. No, the thumbs are used for gripping, not for ripping. That's what I was taught. And if you remember that...
The system comes with a catchphrase.
If you can remember that, you too will be parting apples.
How long have you done this for?
I have done it for a long time. What I used to do to entertain was I used to take hard-boiled eggs, peel them, I can still do it, and I could take the shell off in one. And you actually peel the membrane rather than trying to... Don't be all rough-handed and don't, you know, take your time. Off it goes bang.
And when did you...
That's the correct way to present. With an apple, it's this.
When did you first discover that you could do the apple? How did it come about? How did it come to be?
I can't remember the first time I did it. I can remember the feeling. But I can't remember the first time I did it.
What was the feeling?
The feeling was magnificent.
Right, David, is that the truth?
I don't think so, but it could be. Can we leave it at that?
Yeah, that's fine. OK, on to the next round. No, we can't.
I agree with that. I'd love to see him... I hope it's true, because then they'll make him do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. If it's not true,
Make
will
him
they
do
make
it
him
anyway.
try?
So what's it going to be?
Oh, I really want it to be true, but it isn't true, I don't think.
You can't pull an apple apart, can you?
You can't just rip it in half. I so want you to be able to.
If you and I can't, sure.
And I can't.
I've never tried.
Have you ever tried?
If I had an apple here, and I could have a few
But I think
goes.
if those two can't do it, David, with the greatest respect, it's highly unlikely you're going to pull it off.
Tremendously, frighteningly strong hands, as I found out to my own cost. So you think it's a lie, then?
I'm afraid I do,
OK,
yeah.
well, I'll go with the giants.
You're going to say it's a lie? All right, you're saying it's a lie. Bob, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
Yes. Well, guess what I've got under the desk? My trusty box of apples. It's a proper apple. Ready,
Yes.
Bob?
It's a big one.
Thank you. Not you, him.
Does your husband play cricket?
I love that sort of thing. Where shall I do it?
I really hope he can't do it. Yeah!
Whoa!
I once upset a lot of people after I was hired to film a wedding. Something I'd entirely forgotten.
David's team.
Who hired you to film their wedding?
A very good friend of mine who saw something in me. He was called Dr. King.
All right.
And he had an act. He was a comedian. It was his stage name.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he had little toy rabbits, little furry rabbits on the end of string, about 10 of them. And he would tell a joke. I bought my granddad a snowboard for Christmas. He's been going downhill ever since. And then swing the rabbits.
Right.
Someone married this man.
Did I say he was married?
Well, you
did say it was his wedding.
You asked me who asked me to film a wedding.
OK, I think I asked you who asked you to film their wedding.
Well, in that case, I apologise. I've behaved very badly.
OK, Dr. King commissioned you to film someone else's wedding?
Yes.
OK.
I found myself living with him.
What?
And he was a professional gambler. He made his living betting on the horses.
Right.
He would only make a few bets a year. It could be as little as 5. He also did videos of weddings.
And you lived with him?
I lived with him, yeah. He drank 5 pints of milk a day.
Wow, that's a lot of milk.
Isn't it a lot of milk?
Wow.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Nothing to do with the story. His girlfriend was one of the Teletubbies.
Which one?
The green one.
And you said he would only make about 5 bets a year. How do you make enough money from that?
Big bets.
Is that his girlfriend's name?
There you go. So obviously that's true.
So he ran a business videoing weddings and similar events.
Yes,
did he?
and one Saturday I was asked to go along and be one of the 2 cameras. So I went to this wedding and he said, go down the front and get the bride coming in.
You mean filmer?
Filmer, yeah.
All right. You mean kidnapper?
And you said this angered a lot of people.
No, that didn't anger anyone. What you do is, in those days, is you didn't edit videos, you just gave them all the footage. I go home back to the flat to transfer the little cassettes that are in the VCR onto a VHS.
Onto a VHS. So what happens then?
I did what I was meant to do.
Yes.
Handed it over to the family. The next morning, there was a knock on the door, like the police.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. And it was the father of the bride.
Oh, no, what had you done? What was the footage?
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Because the VHS that I gave to the family was a recording of a horse race. So when they turned it on to show the family, it went, and they're off!
Because you had recorded the wrong thing?
I know I'd taken the wrong VHS, which was one of... This ties in, because it was one of Kingy's
Bets.
horse racing.
But you transferred it from the small cassette that
Yes.
goes in the camera to a VHS.
Yes.
And then just picked up a different VHS.
I mean, it's a long time ago. My memory's fleeting, a bit like a mouse's tear on a hot griddle.
Did you still have the right VHS in the flat? Because that could have resolved matters quite quickly.
Absolutely did. But he did say to us, you've behaved very badly and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
The thing is, the story is absolute nonsense. Like, it's ridiculous.
No, actually, when you get into it...
That's what I'm
the
saying.
milk and rabbits aside, it's just Bob took the wrong VHS.
Yes!
If you imagine I once mixed up 2 VHSs, we'd think that was plausible, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Let's move on.
So do you think Bob's been telling you the truth?
I don't want to talk on that subject. You happy to go true?
Yeah. Me gut's saying lie, but...
You think lie, you think true.
Yeah.
We're going to say true. We're going to say true, and then I've just got some things to do. So that's fine. Then you can let me know at some point.
You're 100% on this?
I've said what I've said.
Oh.
That's your decision. You're saying it's true.
I'm just trying to, there's a bigger picture. It's a troubled world out there. I think I'm going to address that.
And We'll live with the consequences.
Absolutely.
OK, they say it's true. Bob, was it true or was it a lie?
I was telling the truth.
For my first term at university, I rented a bathroom in a student house and slept in the bathtub every night.
Lee, Greg,
Yes.
before we even start this, can you stand up?
There'll be no, unless David stands up with me, there'll be no perspective.
David? In fact, let's have proper perspective. Connie, can you stand up? You know the question.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
Well, I just hung off the end of the bath, as I hang off every single bed that I've ever slept in.
No. You definitely don't hang off a bath like you hang off a bed. Because a bed go like that and then you hang off.
Yeah.
You'd have to go up and cross and hang off. It's all, but you're not a snake, Greg.
The thing what actually drove me to change my circumstances was that I was bruising the side of my cheek regularly by waking up in the morning and clanging into one of the taps.
Can I ask why on earth you would sleep with your head at the tap end? That is mad.
Yes, well, you know, I was 18 years of age and I mainly lived off Thunderbird wine, so bad decisions were my forte at that period.
So did you have a bed in
No.
the house? Did you, oh, so that was the reason you was in the bath?
There was a...
Well, why do you think he was in the bath?
I chose to, Phil, yeah.
How many other people were there in the flat?
3.
3 people, what, 3 beds?
Yeah.
Why would you not sleep on the floor next to the bath?
We had a giant 1970s sofa that had a peculiar corner unit, and I took both cushions from that corner unit and they fitted in the bath perfectly, and it was incredibly comfortable.
So hang on, it wasn't a freestanding bath?
A roll top?
Yeah, was it a roll-top freestanding bath?
It wasn't a freestanding bath, but the end of the bath projected out into the room.
Where was this, Greg? Which town were you? Was this Oxford or Cambridge?
It was in Isleworth in West London. It was only because of a mix-up in housing agreements. We soon sorted it out after a term. I only had to do it for a term.
What was the mix-up?
I'd agreed to move in with these 3 guys and we got the wrong size house.
Hang on, that's not a mix-up, that's just stupidity. There was 4 of you got a 3-bedroom house. Been a bit of a mix-up,
The boys blamed me, which is why I got the bath.
Why did they blame you?
Because I was the one who booked the house.
How did you get into university?
So, Lee, what are you thinking?
Marcus?
I think it's too preposterous to be true.
The taps.
Phil?
Taps for me, you don't... If you're going to sleep in a bath, you don't put your head up the tap.
Silly.
I think it might be true, but I'm not going to
Oh, well, you're the skip. You've got the armband, son.
I might be the
Do
skip.
you get armbands if you're a captain?
Only if you can't swim.
I'm telling you, I don't know if this is in the spirit of this game, this is true.
That was sufficiently moving. I'm going with it. I'm saying it's true now.
What are you saying, Skippy?
Should we say true?
True.
Not Skippy, Rob, not Skippy. That's no good. I'm not going to go and go and fetch help. I'm the skip, right?
Someone's fallen into a mine shaft.
We're going to go for true.
Go on, mate.
True.
Change it to true. We've changed it. We're going for true.
You're saying it's true. Greg Davies, were you telling us the truth or were you telling a lie?
Do you feel, David, any sense of genuine competition in this game?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Then I think you're going to like me very much. It was a lie. I was once dragged into the headmaster's office after I was caught leaning out of a window and firing a cream egg into my friend's mouth with a catapult.
Was this when you were a teacher or a pupil?
I'm ashamed to say it was when I was a teacher.
So, can you describe the setup?
I was teaching in a drama studio on the ground floor, and I could see my friend who was teaching economics on the second floor at the end of the building.
So it's a cross. Is there like a courtyard in between?
Yeah, playground.
Playground. And...
You went to different schools, didn't you? Did the moat not get in the way, or was it... Right, goody, the bell's gone. Let's go to the courtyard.
OK, You're firing over the croquet lawn.
I'd confiscated a catapult that morning from a child.
OK.
I was in my drama studio. There's an office. I closed the door and let the children do whatever they used to do in my lessons. And I hung out of the window. I saw my friend, Gavin.
Yeah.
And I went... It was the height of summer.
Right.
So Gavin is in the middle of an economics lesson, and he goes, oh, there's my friend. Gosh, he's holding an unwrapped cream egg. And he goes...
It wasn't quite that instinctive. I waved the catapult at him, and he was baffled at first. And then I could see him distracting his children by setting them some mundane task. Then I revealed the unpeeled egg.
Which, by now, by the way, hashtag height of summer, melting. They melt very fast.
Here's the thing, Claudia. I genuinely had a mini fridge in my office because... I did, because I regularly abused the drama budget. I'm sorry, but I was very bored. I bought a mini fridge. And just to add colour, I'll tell you this, I bought a top-of-the-range DVD player and I swapped it for one that my grandmother had given me. Took a really nice one home. Separate story.
Can we say that we believe that story?
That's the story. I've got a technical question about the window.
Yeah.
Good.
Because in schools, windows only open to a very small certain point, so the kids can't jump
Especially
out.
on the second floor.
Wow, how rough was the old school that you
Bad.
taught?
Really bad.
You couldn't, only in case they jumped out.
Yeah, just in case they jumped out and drowned in the moat. So basically... you've got that window will only open to a certain point.
Yes, right.
The window did only open half, so Gav had to get on his knees and position his head. His head virtually filled the amount of window that was open. It was a slide-up window.
Where was the headmaster at this point? Walking through playground/courtyard?
He was in his office, I imagine, pretending to do work.
Oh.
And here is the thing that will convince you one way or the other straight away. Gavin... I would say it was 25 foot, and Gavin did catch it in his mouth.
What are they saying?
You lot are going to feel so stupid if that's a lie.
What do you think, David's team? Does it ring true for you?
I do believe the lie is being packaged with real stuff. So, confiscation of the...
The mini fridge is true.
Yeah.
True. The confiscation... Yeah.
Everything around the lie is true, but the lie is still a lie.
OK, let's go. Let's go.
We'll go lie.
You're saying it's a lie. Greg, was it the truth or was it a lie?
There were elements of truth, but yes, damn you, it was a lie.
I have told my children that every time they lie, a puppy dies somewhere.
Now you've used this line on the children, has it actually stopped them from lying?
Well, it certainly seems to have done.
Yeah.
Because they do care about puppies.
Yes.
It's a bit of relief, actually, that you're saying that didn't result in your children telling loads and loads of lies and getting excited by the prospect of puppy death. It's heartening on that level.
No,
I don't have sadistic children.
But it's also bad advice, because what if a dog goes to attack them and they tell a lie and the dog still gets them?
Actually...
It affects the nearest. The nearest dog will die.
So you just... Well, statistically, you'd hope via osmosis the lie will kill...
Essentially, you tell the lie, dog death spreads out from you till it finds a dog, the dog dies, and then the wave of dog death stops.
Can I just ask Joe, why a puppy and not a kitten?
She's not sick.
It was a difficult decision to make. It was a toss-up between a kitten, a puppy, and their dad. And kind of puppies are the sweetest.
What is your verdict?
My team say true.
You're saying true, yeah? OK, so, Joe, is it true?
It's A lie.
It's a lie.
I once dumped my hypnotist boyfriend when I brought him a surprise breakfast in bed, only for him to reveal he'd hypnotised me to do it.
David's team.
OK, I think we're going to go true.
When was this, Joe?
It was last week, Rob.
Really?
Well, it was when I was a student, back in the 1850s. He was doing a show at our uni.
Did he have a stage name, Joe?
The Great Hypnotist, Rob.
Good. Good.
That was his stage name, the Great Hypnotist?
No, it wasn't.
No. Well, OK, do you want to make something else up?
Duncan Wilson.
What was the breakfast, Joe?
It was kind of like mushrooms and black pudding, which I wouldn't go near in a million years.
And were you aware that you were doing this, or were you in a zombie-like trance? Were you walking around like this, or were you feeling everything was normal?
I think that's not hypnotism, that's being a mummy in Scooby-Doo.
You would have got away with it too if it wasn't for that pesky kid.
You had no memory of preparing the mushroom and black pudding breakfast?
No, I didn't, David.
Did you have any memory of purchasing the ingredients?
No, and that's because I didn't purchase them.
If someone's just tuned in, they'll think that David's doing an advert for Age Concern. So you have no recollection of buying the mushrooms, Joe?
OK, what's it going to be, truth or lie?
My worry about it is, aren't stage hypnotists... let me put this carefully. Charlatans.
I think there are stage hypnotists who can hypnotise people. I think that's a given.
It's important that some people should think that, or they'd have no audience at all. So, but I'm not convinced that a stage hypnotist could make someone cook a breakfast in a sort of trance.
It's a very good argument, but Joe's just so believable.
Well, what you have to do is separate the plausibility of the people from what they're asserting, because she literally read it off a card. So it's no reflection on her personal integrity, whether it's true or not.
Well, it is, if it's true she had a one-night stand with a hypnotist.
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't slept with Duncan Whistle? We'll never know. Maybe we have and we don't realise.
Yeah, well, exactly. What do you think of it?
I'm actually with Johnny. I believe it.
You believe it?
Oh, you have no grip on your team, do you? This is lovely to see.
It's anarchy.
It's mayhem over there. No. You're like Liz Truss, desperately trying to keep everything together.
What I'm precisely like is Theresa May, who voted against Brexit and then was happy to be the Prime Minister that pushed it through. Just like...
That's much better, yeah. Very good. So, Joe, you've convinced them. They think it's true. Was it true, or was it a lie?
It was a lie.
I once buried a badger with the banker from Deal or No Deal.
Lee's team.
I know the programme, but who is that? Who is the banker? We never hear the banker, do we?
No, I'm not allowed to tell. If I told you, I would have to bury you alongside the badger, I'm afraid.
Oh, so the badger found out. Is that what happened to him?
What's burying the badger a euphemism for? This banker. Mm-hmm. Can you describe him to me, please?
Yes, I could do. He's just a guy, like you and I. Somewhere in between you and I.
Which one is it?
Somewhere in the middle.
Why do you know the guy from...
I know that way back when I used to be the producer of Deal or No Deal.
Right, and what's his name?
He is called The Banker.
No, what's his real name?
I can't tell you what his real name is.
It's on the credits of the show. Tell us.
What does it say on the credits of the show?
It says The Banker as himself.
Why was the badger dead?
Yeah.
We hit it with a car, unfortunately.
What were you doing in the car with him?
About 70. No. We were on holiday together.
Where were you on holiday?
Badger Country, Cornwall.
Was Edmonds there? Sorry, I'm not part of this, am I? Sorry.
It's a good question, though, Greg. Was Noel there?
No, it was a holiday.
Before you buried the badger, did we put him in a box and then there was loads of other empty boxes? And then you stood there and you had to choose which box it was. Dead squirrel, wrong box.
I think it's very sad that the badger died and everything.
Yes.
But why so much trouble to dig the grave?
Because the banker's wife was with us.
Oh, can you tell us her name, or does she work for? She worked for the Iranian government.
What is the name of the banker? Was this during the day or of the evening?
It was late at night.
Were you drunk? Had you had a few?
I had a few, yeah.
So you went and got
Were you driving then?
No, I wasn't driving.
He wouldn't say, if he's not going to say the name of the banker, of deal or dealer, he's not going on national television go, I was driving, I was mullered.
I say badger, I mean none.
And then what?
The banker's wife then says we should bury it.
The banker's wife. It sounded like Cluedo, this. Go on.
To which the obvious answer is we're not going to bury it. It's 2 in the morning.
Right.
It's really cold and it's dark.
What's happened then?
So the badger is dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Sad occasion. I'm not underestimating the sadness of it. And there's probably a badger wife and badger children at home, so that's... I accept.
Are you not allowed to say their names either?
So you checked the gender of the badger then? You know it was a male badger? Or a female badger in a same-sex relationship who've adopted a small badger, perhaps an orphaned badger without a home in need of rest?
Wildly overestimating the sophistication of the badger community.
But what happens next?
We went back, got spades.
Yeah.
Went back to where the badger lay prone, buried it, said a few words.
What did you say?
Yeah.
Just said, Lord, protect this badger. Or worse to that effect.
If only you'd have said it an hour earlier. So go on, Lord, protect this badger.
I think I said a few words about the family of the badger and gave some words
Tell
of
us
apology.
the word. I want the words.
I apologise to the family of this badger, wherever they may be, because I'm guessing they're nearby.
Yeah.
Put some stones on it. Went back home, started drinking again.
So, Lee, what's it going to be?
Yeah.
Truth or lie?
Oh, I think it's true, Lee.
Bob thinks it's true.
You think it's true?
I mean,
yeah?
it's maybe true.
Patsy?
I don't believe the badger bit. I think the badger bit...
That's quite essential to the story. But everything else you believe.
I believe he knows the banker.
Right.
I think he knows the banker's wife.
Well, there's your answer. There's your answer. We think it's true apart from the badger bit.
OK. Lee, it's time to make your mind
it's
up.
true. It's true.
You're saying it's true. Richard, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
2 years ago, after losing my keys at a fancy dress party, I had to break into my house while dressed as Darth Vader.
These two.
Ooh, OK.
I want to know about the costume. Was it a good one?
It wasn't bad, actually. It was from a shop. It wasn't homemade.
Right.
There's not many things I can do as fancy dress. I can do Frankenstein, and I can do Darth Vader, or I can do 2 children standing on each other's shoulders wearing a raincoat.
How did you get in?
Do you know the bathroom window on the ground floor?
No, I don't know the house.
Well, there, essentially.
What, you squeezed in, you, through a bathroom window?
You know what, Rob? I used the force.
I mean, you used a hell of a force. So what, not the little window, you mean the whole big bathroom window?
It's a stash window, yeah. And I've done it before. I went under it with a little piece of metal that's by the bins. It's an old school ruler, which I've always kept there.
A school ruler of Herculean strength, then, I should say.
No, you know the metal ones, like technical drawing.
OK.
By the way, it's no longer there now if anyone does go round to my house.
And what about the party now? Which other characters? Were there any other Star Wars characters at the party?
Yeah, and this is genuinely true. Someone else at the party was a Darth Vader, but in...
But you towered over him. He would have felt like a pathetic Vaderette.
Was he
how enfeebling to be the small Vader at a party?
Was he smaller than you?
Take a wild guess, Lee.
What about the voice? Did you attempt to do it for fun at the party? Could you give us a demonstration?
OK, yeah, of course I could. So I would say, for example, I know what Luke Skywalker got for Christmas. He got a Sabutio.
Was he doubling as a minicab driver?
He got a jigsaw puzzle. And he got of football. And everyone would say, how do you know that? And I would say, I have felt his presence.
What do you think, Pam?
I have a sneaking feeling that it is true, actually. You know, being shut out of your house isn't that unusual, so I think it's true.
I just don't think you've got a ruler by the bins.
I mean, a man who puts a ruler by a bin puts a key under a brick first, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
Not necessarily, because the key thing about the ruler by the bins is that it's knack needed. A key is no knack needed.
Yeah, Are you speaking English?
Yes, yeah. People underestimate the protective power of a knack. If you need a knack to get in, then essentially the means of getting in can be available because the burglars won't have the knack.
Yeah, unless they steal it and then it's a knick-knack.
Right, what's it going to be?
We'll say it's a lie.
You can say it's a lie. OK, Richard, Darth Vader through the bathroom window. Truth or lie?
It was, sorry, Pam, a lie.
When I present a show for the first time, I like to wear red underwear.
David's team, what do you think?
People were genuinely moved by that. Why?
Red is a colour synonymous with luck and fortune, with the Chinese, anyway. And I...
Right.
You must know what superstitions...
I don't follow superstitions.
You should. You'd be really good, then. The Chinese, this Chinese thing with red, none of you looked like you had any recognition of that. I thought this was quite well known.
No, I associate red with sort of communism and, and the colour bits of the map are painted during the glory days of the British Empire.
The Chinese do get married in red,
They do.
But you're not Chinese. Why do you find that the need to go for a Chinese custom?
Yeah, what's wrong with our luck? What's wrong with a nice horseshoe or something? You have to go for Chinese luck. That's better luck. Alternative luck. Nothing on good conventional luck. An operation, not acupuncture.
I'm not sure if there are actually any colours synonymous with luck in the UK. I'm not really sure.
Why don't you stick two magpies in your bra? Bad luck.
I do actually say, if I see one magpie, I say, hello, Mr. Magpie, how's your partner? Because you have to say partner. You can't say wife or husband.
Right.
That would be assuming that they have a heterosexual relationship.
So a magpie...
It's political correctness gone.
David, what do you reckon?
It's very hard. I'm a very indecisive person, as you know, Rob. It's very...
As you know, Rob, that makes it sound like I'm always coming on to and you're always saying I can't make my mind up.
What do you think?
Well, it's a difficult one.
You're the captain, come on. It's your
You want me
choice.
to show leadership? Oh, Christ. I'm going
Can you imagine if he'd have been on your Olympic training team? I can't get to win. Well, just try cycling quicker. I don't know. I can't.
You're saying it's...
I'm saying true.
You're saying it's...
I think it's a lie, but...
on balance, I think it's a lie. So I'm going to say lie.
You're saying that your team consider it a lie, Gabby Logan. Is it a lie or is it the truth?
It is the truth.
The morning after a party at my house, I went down to breakfast to find Harry Redknapp asleep in our utility room.
Yeah, that's happened to me as well. Please tell me Harry was invited.
He was invited.
He was there the night before?
Yes, he was at the party, yes.
Right. And what was Harry sleeping on in your utility room?
So, we've got dogs.
You what, sleeping on the dogs? Sleeping on the dogs. That's outrageous.
So, we have dog baskets. Not those, like, hard dog baskets, but soft dog. He wasn't supposed to be sleeping there.
No.
He'd lost his way during the night. And the utility room is off the kitchen, which has got a bit of a snug in it, and so... He maintained that he thought he'd gone back into the snug. Right. And he'd sat down. And they looked very inviting, the dog baskets, but,
was he with Sandra?
He was with Sandra, of course he was with Sandra.
Were they sleeping together?
They had a room for the night.
In your house?
Yeah.
Sandra was in the cat box.
Yeah.
Was he still dressed in his party clothes?
No, he was in pyjamas.
How did Harry react when he saw you looking down at him?
He was like this and he went, "Oh, I'm sorry, love." And he looked quite shocked.
Is he auditioning for Mary Poppins?
Where were the dogs?
They don't actually sleep in the utility, normally.
They sleep with Sandra, don't they?
And in winter-time, some of the floors are heated, so they go to heated. We've got an Arga, so they
Now,
keep
that's
sleeping
true.
on the Arga.
The animals do go to
You
heated
managed to
floors.
get in that you've got heated floors and an Arga in one sentence. And a utility room and a spare bedroom for guests. Luckily, Harry didn't...
What are you thinking, Zoo? Does this sound feasible to you?
It's not adding up to me. It's the spare room part that I can't imagine.
You can't believe I've got a spare bedroom.
No, I believe you have a spare bedroom. How many spare rooms do you have?
I'm not going to divulge that information to you.
Quite a few spare rooms,
Quite a few. It's like a hotel.
I think we're focusing on the wrong things.
Yes, that's true.
I don't think the number of bedrooms is relevant. I think what's relevant is whether he ended up in your...
Can I just say, you just said he like you forgot his name then. You have forgot his name, haven't you? Harry Redknapp.
Yes, him. He's, what, 70-something?
Yeah, he's in his mid-70s.
You like your bed when you're...
That's what I'm thinking. Oh,
He
no, but
slept in the jungle for 3 weeks.
That's a very good point.
On a travel
Yes, yeah, to be fair, though...
He got paid
Yeah,
for
he
that.
wasn't being paid...
All right, what are you going to say, Lee?
Zoo?
I don't believe it. I'm saying it's a lie.
Lie.
Well, then I'll go with these two and say it's a lie.
You're saying it's a lie, OK. Gabby, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It is a lie.
For 3 weeks, I was listed as a missing person by Interpol.
Wow.
When did this happen?
In the mid-90s.
Where were you? Had you actually disappeared?
I was in Morocco.
What were you doing there?
I was on a bike ride in Spain.
You were on a bike ride in Spain in Morocco.
Can I have a moment to chat with my client?
What happened was, I met someone in Spain on a train. A Moroccan
So hang on,
man.
was this bike ride in Spain happening on the train? Was it was like, because I know that you get those Spanish bike rides on trains in Morocco. It's probably one of those.
No, there was bad weather, and that's why I took the train from the north of Spain to the south of Spain, because apparently, according to the local newspaper, there was better, more agreeable bicycling weather.
How did you then get into Morocco, though?
That is because I met that Moroccan bloke on the train. and...
Which Moroccan bloke? Yeah, does he have a name?
I can't quite remember, but it was Mohammed or something.
Mohammed the Moroccan, you met on the train in Spain.
He asked me if I wanted to join him to go to Morocco. And then I thought, well, I've never been outside Europe. In for a penny, in for a pound.
So you were picked up by a strange Moroccan on a train and agreed to go back to Morocco with him.
What's the worst that can happen?
How did you find out that you were on the Interpol list?
I realised only once I rang my parents, once I was back in Spain. And I rang my parents, and for them it was like someone found them from beyond the grave.
So why didn't you ring your parents from Morocco?
Because that man, that Mohammed,
You remember Mohammed, don't you?
Yeah.
He was the man on the train.
The Moroccan on the train.
The Moroccan on the train who invited him back to his house.
So and then when I was staying with Mustafa and his family...
From what port did you leave Spain and into which port did you enter Morocco?
Question.
Well, we left Spain, if I remember correctly, from Algeciras and went over to Ceuta. which is one of the 2 Spanish enclaves in the north of Morocco.
Good answer.
I think you've just clutched victory from the jaws of defeat.
How was it then resolved? How did you end up getting off of the list?
Well, hang on a minute, we're jumping ahead here.
Yeah,
What the hell
he's
did
allowed
you
to do
in
that,
Morocco?
isn't he?
What were you doing?
I was travelling with Mohammed.
My client is getting mixed up because at passport control they said you must have a passport. And he's getting a bit mixed up with the names.
I'm curious as to the fact that Interpol has a missing persons list.
Yeah, no, what happened is my parents got involved and they got Interpol involved.
Right.
And I sent a few postcards, one of them, to my friend Mark. And on that postcard I wrote, I've joined the Foreign Legion. Probably see you never again, have a good life or something. And then, Mark being a quite clever boy, so, OK, with this postcard I can have a lot of fun. I go round Henning's parents and say them something along the lines of, Herr Wehn, Frau Wehn, you might be interested in this.
Sorry, so your friend Mark...
Yes.
...used this postcard to mentally torture your parents. I'll make his parents think he's disappeared forever for a laugh.
Where's German sense of humour?
What do we know about this Moroccan chap who we're calling Mohammed?
He hadn't been home for many, many years, and so we couldn't take the boat straight to Morocco. We had to go to one of the Spanish enclaves because he had to collect a suitcase full of books from a cafe in Ceuta.
Why did he have a suitcase full of books?
Because someone left them there for him.
But why books in a suitcase?
Well, it was back in the mid-90s, people were still reading.
So he went to a cafe in the Spanish enclave of Morocco to collect a suitcase which he told you was full of books.
Well, I suppose a friend of his left them there.
Yes, but
I mean, you know what it sometimes is like, isn't it? Like, well, I can't quite think of an example.
But if he could, it would be like that.
Yeah. This Interpol list that you were on, can you just elaborate on how your parents got you onto it?
Well, they rang the consulate, and they rang all sorts of...
Which consulate?
The German one.
Which German consulate?
Well, the one in Morocco.
They didn't ring the police, they rang the German consulate in Morocco.
Well, that's how you would go about it, wouldn't you? It's no good ringing your local bobby.
And what happens then with the list? Do you just... They have to tell Interpol, stop looking for Henning. We found
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, did they? For all we know, they're still looking for you now.
I'm safe!
So what do you think, David? Does any of that have the ring of truth, or has he made all that up?
What do you think, Kirsty?
I think it's so odd and inconsistent and unlikely that it must be true.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards as well.
I think that as well. I think it's true.
Yeah. Henning, was that the truth, or were you telling a lie?
Well, this story is true. Because I already know what I look like. I do not have a single mirror in my house.
Please, Chief.
You don't own a mirror because you already know what you look like. Yeah, but none of us are looking in the mirror to remind ourselves what we look like. We're doing it to straighten our hair or brush our teeth.
Well, you need to look in the mirror to brush your teeth.
Yeah, I do, actually.
I use a toothbrush.
What about nasal hair and ear hair and things like that?
Well, there is so many mirrors about, if you really want to know. Any old cafe or restaurant.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You take nasal clippers with you.
Well, don't you know it? Can't you feel if you've got nasal hair or not?
Well, yeah, but how do you get... Well, do you ever trim them with anything?
You said, yeah, but I can't feel if I've got nasal hair or not. Do I need to see a doctor about that? I can't.
Your nasal hair's massive. It's grown all up here.
When did the decision come to stop having mirrors?
It's not a conscious decision, man. I don't like palaver.
So there's no palaver lamps in your house either? What about when you're shaving? How do you shave?
Oh, yeah, got an electric shaver.
Yeah, I know I've got an electric razor.
How do you know how much charge is in it if you can't see it reflected in the mirror?
I think you can look at it.
Just look at it.
You have a break, PC, and I will carry on with this interview.
OK, I'll tell you what, Henning. So you wake up in the morning, OK? It's time for Henning to do his ablutions. Talk us through it.
I get up.
Are you pyjamaed or do you sleep naked?
Halfway.
Please tell me you don't just wear a pyjama top.
No, I've got underpants and then usually no top on.
You sleep in just your underpants?
That's what I sleep in. In Henning's underpants.
Yeah.
Come on, you get out of bed, what happens next?
Well, I have a shower.
Right.
Brush my teeth.
You haven't had a little look at yourself to go, oh, dear, I don't look very good.
When did you last look in the mirror and thought, oh, I didn't think I would look like this?
Here's the thing, right? Your hair's, it's in place.
Yeah.
Well, you're not just feeling each individual strand, are you?
What do I need to do with my hair?
Don't get me started.
OK, what's it going to be? Truth or lie?
Simon?
I think it's a lie.
It's got to be a lie.
It's got to be a lie, yeah.
So you're saying it's a lie?
Yeah.
OK, Henning, no mirrors in your house. True or lie?
Absolutely true.
Possession.
OK, there's a box, which I think is at the side of your desk. Can you see it?
Yeah, got it.
Would you read the card first and then bring out the possession?
These are my favourite boxer shorts. Despite the fact they've seen better days, we have such a strong bond, I still wear them.
All right.
OK, now let's have a look at this possession. Let's see.
Oh, hello.
All right.
Sorry, you've got to show the back bit. That's vile.
What's that?
That's the back bit. That's the back bit.
Do you still wear those, Josh, as pants, or are they...
Yeah, I don't wear them as a hat.
Josh, how many pants do you have? How many pairs, like, roughly, would you say?
10 to 12.
So these get used, what, once a fortnight?
You've done the maths.
What, 2 days where you don't wear pants? Is tonight one of those days?
I don't know if you wear boxers. I think you might be a...
Briefs guy.
Briefs, is that what they're called?
Oh, that is...
You're young, you're quite trendy, the hair's forwards, which to me says you're quite trendy.
Don't listen to her, Matt.
Josh, if I was your girlfriend, I would want to dust with those. I wouldn't want to see them on you.
Can I ask you something? How long have you had them for?
I would have probably got them when I was about 18, so that was 12 years.
Explain the bond you have with these pants. Why?
Yeah.
It's nothing personal. They haven't got any specific memory, but I just don't like wastage, really. And they're still perfectly usable.
No, they're not. The frightening thing is, if they're not Josh's pants, whose pants are they?
Well, Josh, would you help us out here by perhaps just slipping into them so we could get an idea of the fit?
Yeah, I would.
Get them on. Get them on. Get them on.
This is what winning chance at me in bed.
Josh, maybe around here somewhere would be nice.
Here?
That's going to be a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll take my shoes off.
You see, look, he doesn't seem okay with the mapping of them.
It's not like you get familiar with pants and it becomes a second nature.
He's not at ease with those
This
pants.
is genuinely one of the lowest moments of my life, by the way. Just so you know.
If I had a penny for every time someone said that on this show.
So, oh my God.
I suppose all you can do now is pray that it's edited sympathetically. Which, in all honesty, is unlikely.
Josh, my love, that waistband is a good 2 inches too big for you.
If you feel
Isn't
the
it?
elastic, Mel...
Come on.
Mel, you don't have to touch anything you don't want to.
If you feel the elastic, then it's kind of gone a bit.
Right, I'm going to do something slightly sinister.
I've been dreaming of this since late lunch. I'm not going to lie to you.
Come closer, love, come closer. Yeah, there's a whole finger. That's a whole...
That's not a finger.
All right, just take your shoes and please go back to your seat.
I feel like I've been thrown out of a pub. Take your shoes and go.
David, it's time to gather your thoughts and ask yourself whether or not Josh is telling the truth.
I think, Mel...
Yes, my love.
You're strongly of the opinion that those are not Josh's pants.
He did not seem at ease when he was touching...
He was intimidated by the pants.
He was intimidated.
Yeah.
He was.
I agree with you that there's a stylistic clash between Josh and those pants.
I'm not buying it. There's no anecdote. There's no, I kept these when so-and-so broke up with me. If he's going to keep a pair of pants that long, you've got to be through some good times and, by the looks of it, some bad times.
So, what are you thinking then?
Well, I think we think it's a lie.
All of you, all agreed. OK, Josh Widdicombe, the pants.
Can I just say... Either way, I am going to give them to Mel so she can dust with them from now on.
Thank you.
Well, that's lovely. That's heartwarming. Is it the truth, or were you telling a lie?
I am ashamed to say it's the truth. Possession.
Ah, right. First of all, take the item out and pop it on the desk. Then read out the card.
This is my woolly hat. I can't wear it because whenever my ears get warm, I fall asleep.
Right. David's team.
What? How long does it take you to fall asleep when your ears get warm?
Well, I'd say 10 minutes.
The problem you've done there now, Josh, is you've made it possible to demonstrate. You might want to change that to 4.5 days.
OK. Do you want me to put the hat on for 10 minutes?
Yes.
OK.
And have you had many embarrassing situations with this as a
Well, I'm currently wearing it on primetime TV.
Yeah. Have you, like, snoozed off?
I have, yeah. I've snoozed off probably 3 times.
Will you describe the 3 times in reverse order of hilariousness?
OK, so all 3 times have been on trains. And in reverse order of hilariousness... Didn't miss my stop, didn't miss my stop, missed my stop.
You've got the order right there.
Gemma's got one that only covers one ear, so are you sleepy on the left-hand side?
I am. Don't judge me, I just...
Can I... Genuinely, my ears are warming up and I'm feeling... Can I take it off?
You're feeling a bit drowsy?
Presumably, sometimes you don't want to fall asleep, but wouldn't it also be quite useful if it's true? Because...
I have done that, Rob.
To get off... Stick it on.
I can honestly tell you, Rob, that this has never helped me get off.
I don't think anyone would get off if you wear that.
Oh, so soon in the show, Sophie.
There's 7 billion people on this planet. Some of them are into anything.
Oh, that's reassuring. Thank you very much, David.
Exactly, absolutely. But that's, you know...
There's some weirdo out there that would be into me in a hat.
Do you know what, David? Since you got married, you've been very cocky.
So, why were you wearing it on the train anyway? They're not perfectly run, our railways, but I don't usually find that the temperature is arctic in a railway carriage.
I'll be honest with you, David.
Don't insult me with that phrase. Because we know the format is you may not be being honest. And I won't hold that against you. It's a parlour game. You know. Okay. You're not denying an affair. You know.
You're not denying it?
Josh Widdicombe fails to deny affair.
This sounds crass, but I wore it on the train because I didn't want people to recognise me.
So you thought the way of detracting attention is to put on an enormous bobble hat.
What are you thinking, Gemma?
I don't think this is true. I think it's a lie.
Yeah, it's got to be a lie. Who falls asleep by putting a hat on?
Well, I think it might be true.
Oh.
But I'm not going to overrule my team. Because
Never.
I'm just going to...
You don't have the strength of character for that.
I don't know.
OK, so they're saying it's a lie. Josh Widdicombe, truth or lie?
David, it's true.
Oh. Wow.
Possession.
Ah, now, there's a box just behind the stage there, Claudia, if you'd like to get the box.
Hold on, bear with me.
Take out its contents.
OK. In here is my pet cat from when I was little, and my dad had her stuff for me when she died.
Oh.
Here she is.
Oh. We'll just pop her on the desk there, Claudia.
Was she run over? Did you want your father to stuff your cat?
No,
once
but
it
I was
died?
so devastated, I was so upset that she died. So my dad, as a present, gave her to me, all stuffed, and she came to my wedding.
Sorry. Came to your wedding?
I think Lee, not of her own accord.
Was she a bridesmaid and came down on a trolley?
No.
Claudia, sorry, can you just remind us again how your poor little cat died?
Yes, well, she got sick.
And were you pleased with this dead cat?
Stuffed cat.
I was very pleased because she's sort of lucky. Like, if you're anyone
She's
near
lucky?
her...
I would hate to see what happened to the unlucky one. What are we saying?
I want this to be true because it'll be funny. It'll be funny if it's true.
I just don't believe Claudia, even in Claudia's world, which I love. However, this is a step too far. I just don't believe. Well,
That's pretty convincing.
What the hell? She looks like a very lovely but slightly unstable woman, and I'm going to say that that's true.
You're saying it's true? OK, Claudia Winkleman, is it true or is it a lie?
It is indeed a lie.
Oh, what a shame.
For one episode of The Traitors, I gave myself a fake tan using gravy granules.
These two?
Wow. OK, do you have a normal fake tan?
I didn't have it there because I was in the castle, so what I thought was, let's use something.
Was there a brand or a type of gravy?
I don't think I'm allowed to say a brand, but yeah,
Well, because you can't think of one. Was it early on in the record? Was it the first episode?
It was not the first episode. It was, I don't know, like EP5, round table.
Fine.
In you go. You know what I mean. You're wearing tweed. What do you need? Correct. Granules.
What about the first 4 episodes?
The first 4 episodes, it was quite sunny.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't sunny.
What did you do for the first 4 episodes?
This is very good. I had a spray.
Right.
Like, I don't know why you're, like, so obsessed with detail.
So this is the question.
It's so suffocating.
spray,
be cool, be cool. Go with the wind.
You know,
I went up. Traitors, gravy granules, move on.
If you're ever up for a crime, never talk like this in court. Yeah.
Have you said where the gravy granules came from?
Yeah, a shop.
Oh, weren't you in the middle of nowhere, weren't you, up there?
Yes, but there are shops there.
Oh, this story's getting worse. So you realise you haven't got any stuff, and you go, someone rush out and quickly and get me, sir. We'll get you the stuff you usually... No. Just for no reason whatsoever, don't rush out and get the stuff I usually use. Get gravy granules just on the off chance it's good. Surely that story works if you happen to have them on you.
Oh.
You're not going out.
Everyone stops me.
There you go. Look what are you doing now if you have? Why didn't you just do that on the show instead?
What do you think, Jessica? Does this strike you as true?
Yes. I mean, whatever you think.
If this is true, I will never believe anything anyone says ever again.
What do you think, Mike? Is it true?
I'd love to believe it. I think it's probably untrue, though.
Makes it easy for you, Lee?
It's just all hinges on the one thing. You need to rush out, please, and get me some gravy granules, was the bit where it faltered. And everything else you said.
She's saying it's a lie?
100%.
OK, they quite conclusively think it's a lie. Was it a lie, or were you actually telling the truth?
It is true.
Possession.
Right, there's a box under your desk. John, would you bring the box up, please?
This is the emergency kit that I keep in my car at all times.
Okay.
Well, not at all times, obviously. It's here.
John, will you take it out of the box and put it on the desk there?
What would have been brilliant then if he'd have took his car out of the house? Can we investigate it?
Yes,
John,
I want to, yes.
Spotty mud. I'd quite like to. I'll be very careful with it.
Are you going to bring it back?
Well, yeah. I'll be careful. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, I've never given another man my box before.
Okay.
I have, it's quite nice.
There's a mug, spotted mug.
Yeah, well spotted.
Yes, here's options Belgian chocolate.
Bill, sorry, can you be careful with that? That's his mother's ashes.
Chocolatey ashes.
And here a little bottle of...
Some red wine?
Can I just say, this is like the most boring version of the generation game.
Oh, the best ready, steady cook ever.
It's a sort of a post-nuclear deal or no deal.
Right, OK, so take us through why you've got these items.
Well, I'm on the road a lot, and I like food and alcohol. So I make sure I have some in case I have an unexpected overnight stay.
I love how seriously Bill and Frank are studying the product.
This has got a very curious marking on it. It's a circle and a pregnant woman and a line going across it. What's that got to do?
That suggests to me that they don't advise that pregnant women drink.
It's hardly hieroglyphics, Bill, is it?
I tell you what, if I found this in a car, I'd assume it was the flight recorder.
David, time to guess.
I think it's nonsense, so we have to say it's nonsense?
You're all saying it's a lie?
Yeah.
OK.
Yeah.
John, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It is true. At home, if I need to remember to do something, I will put my slippers on the wrong feet and won't swap them back until I've done it.
David's team.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we can go straight to an answer.
So, John, was it the truth? Wait a minute.
So you put your slippers on the wrong feet to remind you that you've got something to do?
Yes.
As like a knot in the handkerchief?
Yes, I stopped carrying a handkerchief around the house in sort of the mid-19th century.
Yeah. I still carry a handkerchief. I won't get it out because, of course, it's encrusted with snot.
Hi, girls.
Can you not just use your phone and put an alarm on or something?
Go spot the generation gap here. Look.
I quite often set an alarm on my phone. I've got an alarm set on my phone now to remind me to put the bins out later.
Yeah, but that's kind of different to what Aston's doing. Yours is sort of an early onset tactic, isn't it?
I love the way you leant forward, so happy then as well. I set an alarm on mine.
Let's go back to Mr. Cool with his shoes on the wrong feet. What sort of thing would you use it to remind yourself to do?
Well, we have moved house recently, so I very often
Remind yourself not to go back to the old house.
I'll be unpacking something and I'll think, oh, I'll put that picture up and I'll go up to get a hammer from the hammer room. And then on the way up, I'll see something else that needs doing. I'll think, oh, I'll put that washing away. And then by the time I'm putting the washing away, I've forgotten about the picture.
Paint a picture for the viewers who are wondering what sort of slippers you wear.
They're a sort of blue... They're a sort of corduroy slipper, David, you would like. I mean, they're almost sort of... They look the same. It's just... Sometimes I put them on the wrong way by accident. And I think, what have I got to do? And I think, oh, no, I've just put them on the wrong foot.
What are you thinking, David's team?
What do you think?
I would say it's true.
Yeah, I think it's a good
so
system.
Plausible, isn't it?
I'm going to adopt this. I'm thinking of swapping my shoes now to make sure I don't forget about the bins later.
So, John, truth or lie?
It is a lie.
If I ever get stuck on a crossword clue, I phone Tim Henman for help. He hasn't let me down yet.
Right.
I think that's a very cruel lie. He hasn't let me down yet. We all know what that's an allusion to. His repeated letting down of the entire nation. I think it's, tennis is difficult. And I'd just like to say I wouldn't necessarily have won Wimbledon. Obviously, if I'd practiced as much as Tim Henman, I'd bloody well expect to, but nevertheless.
Right, so how do you know Tim Henman?
I met Tim Henman when he was promoting a sort of tennis academy thing, and I went and played tennis with him at Wimbledon.
Did you play at Wimbledon?
Yeah, I was right about it. It wasn't just like, oh, Victoria Goran's got to come in and play.
You used to ring up Tim Henman to ask him difficult crossword things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get round that sensitive issue of going, 6 down?
So Tim Henman is particularly good at crosswords.
He's got to be good at something.
Once again, I would say that Tim Henman is relatively good at tennis. So he could almost be a professional.
Victoria, I'm curious, of all the people you meet in the course of your job, you choose a tennis player of sorts to advise you on crosswords.
He's very into crosswords.
So you're saying at this point, and this clue I can't get, what we need is some of the skills that it takes to, you know, choke during a tie-break.
You're turning against him now, aren't you?
Get your mind on which side of the fence are you on? Yeah. How did the subject of crosswords come up when you were playing
I was doing
this?
a crossword while waiting for him. He was doing
To serve, to get one in.
That's
why you kept losing.
I was doing a crossword, and he came in, and it was kind of a bonding thing because he said, "I like crosswords. Let me have a look."
What do you think, Mackenzie? Do you think it's plausible?
I think it might be plausible, yeah. Cryptic or just regular?
Cryptic. Well, he's not an idiot. You don't bring someone. Oh yeah, it's got 3 letters. Household pet starts with D.
Cat.
Mackenzie thinks it's plausible. Packham is saying...
I think it's sadly probably...
You don't have to think.
You're saying true?
True.
OK. So, Victoria...
You think I phoned Tim Henman to ask him the answer to crossword clues? Obviously, that's a lie. For our first Christmas together as husband and wife, David was startled by one of the gifts I got him.
Please, Tim.
It wasn't making a noise inside the wrapping paper, was it?
What, a puppy?
Well, I was thinking more of a rabbit. So, I suppose the big question is, what was the present?
It was, you'll like this, Lee, it was some sexy underwear.
Oh, why would I like that?
I'm always telling Victoria how attractive you find me.
Who was to wear the underwear?
It was... I bought... for David to wear.
Look at David's face.
So it's for David. Describe the underwear.
This is very awkward. Describe the... I mean, this genuinely, this is the stuff of nightmare.
Yeah. If it helps in any way, I'm absolutely loving it.
All right. So, David was broadly of the school of... I mean, is this...
This is dreadful.
When men have been single for a long time... They've got their loose cotton boxes. They don't think, oh, I tell you what, I'll have a pair of these snug-fitting trunks.
Can we just... Is that what we're talking about? So we're not talking about straps and things, and we're not talking about restraining bolts and things like that. Nothing like that.
No.
I'm just going to say, if at times in the future when I face adversity, I will look back and say, well, at least I'm not going through this.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
This is so much better than dustbins.
So it's Christmas morning. It's your first Christmas together as a married couple. You hand him this package. He opens it. Talk us through the moment of realisation.
He sort of went, oh, it's underpants. And then he realised they were a bit clingy and possibly, in David's mind, somewhat French, you know.
How long did it take before he wore them?
Has he ever worn them?
Oh, yes. From that day forward, that was his new style of choice.
So even as we speak, He sat there now with something clinging to his midriff.
I'm so sorry.
So it wasn't like these main stuff. Can you remember anything else that you've got?
You know, some books and a DVD and...
What were the books?
Well...
The Bible and 50 Shades of Grey.
So, Melvin, what do you make of this?
I'm just excited.
What do we think? Truth or lie?
So, what do you think, Alex?
I can imagine you'd definitely be startled by it. But
Well, that bit. If David's worn the same pair of pants all of his life until that moment, and I suspect he
The
has.
same pair
The
of...
same type of pants.
I think it's true.
You do.
So, Melvin thinks it's true. Alex?
I hope it's true.
You're going to say that it's true. OK, they think it's true. Victoria, was it true or was it a lie?
It is true.